So I went to prison. I was sentenced to 10.5 years. I had a company, Apogee Financial, and we did the proof of funds for people that were getting involved in trading platforms, trading commodities. You know, diamond, gold, oil, natural gas, things of that nature. I found an issue. People weren't qualifying. So even if they came in with the money, they had to have a net worth of 20 million, 50 million, 100 million, and a lot of people didn't have that net worth. So what I did was I started linking them with people who did have that net worth, hedge fund managers, just people who had large amount of capital, and I would, do like an acquisition. So I would put them with that client, and then they looked like they were worth the 100 million, the 50 million. So now they could go in and spend their own money.
Right.
Because, the system is like a triangle. It's a very small space at the top. And if you're not in that bracket, you won't qualify for a lot of financial transactions that are on a very high scale, which obviously, it pushes black and brown people out. Because even if you were to make $1 million tomorrow, you wouldn't qualify. Even if you want to spend $100,000, you have plenty of money, but they don't let you in.
Right.
So initially I was doing that while I was doing the mergers, but it takes some time. So eventually some clients was like, I'm missing out on the trading platforms because it takes too long to do that. So I need it today. So obviously, if they need it the same day, I can't do it the proper way. So I was like, okay, there's like, I got 200 grand for you. I got 300 grand for you. So I was able to change the documents, put their names and the amounts I changed so that they could get into the trade. So I was basically guilty of forging documents. My company made about $10 million in a very short time, in less than a year, about 10 months. And I was eventually, caught and sentenced to 10.5 years.
10.5 years.
Why'd you get so much time?
Well, in like drug cases, your time is connected to the weight. So in white collar cases, your time is connected to the money. So had I done the same thing and not made any money, I probably wouldn't have gotten anywhere as much time. But what happened, I think really made them upset is when I first was approached by the feds, it was a civil case. And then they took all my money. So I sat, at the table, as you'll see on the show, with my team, and I'm like, we got to do something else. So I started buying the actual gold in Africa. So I was broke. I was down to nothing. Sent my guys to Africa, in another 6 weeks, we were back in the millions again. Started buying gold. You buy a kilo of gold back then was 10, 11,000 from Sierra Leone, and I was flipping it right here in New York,
So what's illegal about that?
That wasn't illegal.
Okay.
But it made them mad because they took all my money and they wanted me to just be done. So
now, they get mad.
Yeah, they
get mad when you keep reinventing yourself and rolling
so they
out.
might be mad at your shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, they might. But, the thing about wealth is that when you find a formula, you can apply it to anything. It doesn't really matter what you're buying, what you're selling, what you're doing, if it's a service or a product. As long as you know the formula, whether it's real estate, whatever it is, if you know it, you can do it. So they got upset because, I guess they wanted to destroy me. They wanted to feel like I was defeated because they took all that money. They seized like $6.5 million. And,
You had $6.5 million now?
I had $10 million.
Oh, you was balling.
And I was only 24, 25 at the time. And, my entire team was black. Sal, Weezy, we all went to federal prison. I got the most time, and then, they got time right under me. But I think they were more upset that when they seized those funds that I was able to find something else to do. But
isn't that the goal, though, to find something legitimate to do after you get caught doing something?
Yeah, but that's the actual part of it. But the emotional part, the racist part, and the sexist part is that I'm a black female. I'm working with people on Wall Street. I created this business model. I didn't really know anybody else doing it like I was doing it. So here I come, and I think I didn't look right. I come in with a black team. We making millions of dollars every month. I just think that they felt like I was out of my place. And when I was sentenced, I'm going to tell you something really crazy. I was on a bus going from court. They remanded me, and I was going to MDC Brooklyn. And while I'm on the bus going to MDC Brooklyn, the U.S. Marshals bus gets pulled over. I'm in the cage. I'm the only girl on the bus. It's all the men on there. And I'm in the cage, and the bus gets pulled over. Like, who's pulling over the U.S. Marshal bus? It's the Secret Service. They pull over the bus, they get on the bus, and they ask for me. So now I'm shook. I'm like, I'm already going to prison. What do they want? So they come on the bus, and they get me off to put me in the car with them. Still going to MDC just to talk shit. Like, oh, you just had to go to Africa. I didn't go personally, but they knew I sent my team. Oh, you just had to go. You just couldn't sit down. That's why we charged you criminally. And you ain't the boss lady no more. I'll never forget those words. That's what he said. It was, you know.
They probably tried to break your spirit. And they probably tried to break you mentally. Because if you can do that, if you can build a business from the street and get $10 million, then had a wherewithal to go get gold from Africa and flip that, you're a different type of person.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
But that's how we linked. You know, me and Jamila linked, because when we got to prison, it's like when you're a boss, it doesn't matter your circumstances. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what they do to you. It's a mindset.
That's right.
So when we got into prison, we was linked because she wrote books. I wrote books. I published 10 books. She published more than 10 books. And we linked, and then I started getting back into my music, writing my music, and, you know, people just started recognizing us from the street.
Yeah, but we also noticed the discrepancies in our case as far as the time we got. Right. So, like, we got more time than any of the cats on Wall Street. So I got 12 and a half years, she got 10 and a half years, and we looked at our stories and the amount of money that we was able to make and the things we were doing. It was just, like, crazy to see the discrepancies. And on my sentencing, Jay, the judge basically told me, how dare you? You know, go into Alpine and Saddle River. Why you didn't go into East Orange and Newark?
Whoa.
So he basically made a distinction like, okay, so because you ain't playing the hood and you want to play in my area, this is what I'm going to do. And Chris Christie was my U.S. attorney. I told you guys that. And on my sentencing day, he said justice has been served in America because I got all the time and the white boys got none.
How dare you black people do white collar crimes? Y'all know better than that.
All of us. You know?